From the King George's Estates in downtown Port St. Lucie, Florida, good Wednesday evening, everybody, and welcome back to KC in 60 right here on DARPATV.com. Kevin Canessa here with you for the next hour or so, and to all of our regulars, I welcome you back to the program, and to anybody who may be visiting us for the very first time, I welcome you to the program for the first time as well. So much going on tonight, and a lot of things happened this afternoon that I want to talk about. But before I do, I just want to say a quick word of encouragement to a friend of mine who is watching this program here today. Of course, you all know him as the Mouth. He is Joel McGirt. Sometimes in our lives, we take risks. We decide that we're going to do one thing or another. And sometimes when you take those risks, they pay off. Those rare moments that we get when we take a risk and it becomes a life pleasure, unfortunately, I think for most of us, are extremely, extremely rare and few and far between for the most part. But just because we take risks in our lives hardly means that when we took the risk, what we didn't have some modicum of success, and in many cases it may very well have had quite a bit of success with a bunch of people involved who did everything in their power to make it not successful. And I think in the case of our friend Joel, who we are talking about just now as we start off, going up to New York could be seen as nothing short of a success because of the work that he did while he was up there in New York. Unfortunately, he was surrounded by people who didn't care. He was surrounded by people who didn't give two craps about good radio. And I think we all know from listening to his program, whether it was there or here on DARPA TV or even before that in him is a sports radio enthusiast and talent that is hard to find anywhere in this country. One of the beautiful things about DARPA TV is that it allows for interaction that you cannot get on the radio. And when you think about it, the way he interacts with people on his program when he does it here, and he will do on Thursday at 8 p.m. here, is rare and hard to find on any radio program. Sure, some of them read them some tweets here and there. All hosts tend to do that, but the interaction and the professionalism that he demonstrates on a regular basis is a rarity. So I just wanted to say, even all these months later, past leaving Florida, going to New York, going there for 3 months, and coming back here to Florida again, that yes, there are risks that people take. Sometimes they pay off beautifully. Most of the times they don't. But no matter what happens, most of the time there's some secret that was involved or some sort of success. And in that journey up to Olean, there were many, many successes. And I think that you need to always remember that and not forget that, because if you do, that's where it's time to give up. And I think everybody who is here who has seen your program knows pretty darn well you know what you're doing, and there are very few people who do it better. So there it is to start off today's program. Now, earlier today, I was here and completed the work that I needed to do for the day. So I decided that I wanted to do a experiment and see if I could get my Obamacare application submitted finally. Now, just so you know, I think I've explained this to all of you before. I've done this 4 other times already, where I have gone through the whole application process and have gotten to the very, very end of the process. And at that point, what you've got to do is you've got to sign your name by typing it in and clicking submit. Once you submit, they're supposed to check out your application and then spit back to you some of the subsidies you're available for, the tax breaks, and the plans that you qualify for. In the 4 times before, every time I've hit that submit button to sign my application, I've been given back a return message that said some of our servers are busy, please try again later. And each of the 4 times that I've done that, when I go back to do things over, to submit again, as you can see in this picture, it returns to step number 1 at the very, very beginning. I'm not sure if you can see the picture. If you can't, click on it once, it'll take you to the small screen, or click on it again, it will blow up and it'll be in the full screen. And what you can see is that there are several portions of the application in between the start and the one where you submit. Each of those 4 times I've had to do this over, but I figured, okay, they've probably gotten to the point where they've got this perfected right now, and I figured I'm going to give it one more shot today. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know, once I got to the portion where I had to sign my name by typing it in digitally and hit submit, the same message popped up again that said that the application could not be processed. Come back again and try and submit it in about an hour. Okay, first time I had seen a message that said come back in an hour. Most of the time it just says try again later. So an hour passes. I went back and I tried to get to that portion where I only had to click the submit button and sign my name. Again, it brought me back to the very beginning where I started over and had to enter again all of my information. Nothing saved on the server or whatever it is that they use. I've had to do the damn application over again. And at that point I said, forget this. I made the decision that I am not going to continue to apply. I'm not even going to try, and let them find me. Let them find me. Now what I thought of was, how are they actually going to get me to pay the fine? But apparently it is something to do with federal income tax returns, that they will charge you when you're doing your tax returns, or they'll garnish it from any tax return that you're supposed to get in a given year. So that would happen in the 2015 tax season for 2014's numbers. Let them. I really don't care, because it's now at a point where I can't believe my eyes, because I went to another website. Actually, I take that back. I used healthcare.gov to see some of the programs that I was available for. Number one, the cheapest available program for me, 39 years old, in Port St. Lucie, Florida, St. Lucie County, United States of America, was $369 per month. That was a bronze plan that included a $5,200 deductible. And for anybody who doesn't know what that means, basically, now I want to say this first. I have been told that many cases they don't explain this well enough, but I don't know whether it's true, that the $5,200 deductible is what needs to be met if your plan is not in the network of doctors you go to. But so far as I've ever known, when somebody says you get a deductible of $5,200, you get a deductible of $5,200, and it doesn't matter whether it's in or out of the network. That's what you get. Okay, so what that basically means is that in order for this policy, that if I were to buy at $369 a month, for it to kick in and for them to pay anything for medical reasons, that means that I would have to pay $5,200 out of my pocket first, on top of the $369 a month premium, before I got any of the benefits. Just unbelievable. It is just mind-numbing how awful that is. A deductible of that size is just absolutely ridiculous, and it's just unfortunate that it is as high as it is. And that is the cheapest of them all. There are none that are any cheaper than that in the state of Florida, in the county of St. Lucie, for a person who is 39 years of age. There are other plans that could cost up to $600 a month with a deductible just as high. All of these plans that are available are high deductible plans. So unless you are planning to get seriously ill or need an emergency room or something of that nature, it is unfathomable how unaffordable this program is. The name of the program is the Affordable Health Care Act. It's not Obamacare. That's just what the nickname is from the media. But in reality, the bill was called the Affordable Care Act, and in no way, shape, or form is paying $369 a month for a premium affordable. Now, granted, there are tax deductions, and if you are in a lower economic bracket, you get some sort of deduction. But for most people, $369 a month on top of rent, on top of car insurance, on top of perhaps a car payment, utilities, a cell phone bill, etc., is just not affordable. And this, I think, is nothing short now. Pratika just said it, as nothing more than new taxes. That's really, really what it turns out to be, because I almost sense that they hope that there are a lot of people who don't accept this and who pay the penalty, because then they can rip these people off as well. It is diabolical, friends. It really is. And yeah, I voted for Obama. I certainly did, because I believed that when I hear the word affordable, it is going to be something that is affordable, and it truly is not. Now, do I regret my vote? No, because I don't think things would be any better if we had a presidency under John McCain, Sarah Palin, or if we had a presidency under Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. But the point is that this has been so damning, and it's been such a bunch of bull, that there are people who are out there who are legitimately trying to say, "Oh, this is wonderful. This is great. You can do this. You can get insurance." Well, no. And I got to be honest with you, folks. I need to get to the doctor. I really do. I need to get to the doctor. I have a few things that I need to get taken care of, including, I think most of you know this, I have very low testosterone, and I need to be able to get this treated. But if I were to go without having any kind of medical insurance, it's ridiculously expensive. It's expensive, unless I want to get the injections, which are very, very, I don't want to have to give myself a needle once a week if I don't have to. So even just to get something like that done is thousands of dollars. And so I'm stuck. There are things that I need to do, that I want to get tested, that I simply just cannot do. And as disgraceful as it is, I am not alone. I think there are probably many others who are in a similar situation, who have work that they need to get done, who have medical issues that need to be treated, and who simply can't afford it. And even if they had insurance, it wouldn't make a difference either, because from what I've been told, it appears that when you get these programs, a lot of them don't even cover things like a low testosterone level, even though when a man has a low testosterone level, it could be very, very detrimental in many ways, whether it's on the heart, the ability to, for the aging process and things of that nature. Just disgraceful. And I just can't believe that there are truly people out there who go and say that this is a wonderful program for the people of the United States of America. It isn't. It really isn't. It truly isn't, especially for somebody who is what would be considered self-employed. I do understand that there are some programs for people who are working in larger corporations where it'll be helpful. But listen, when you hear people saying that they can't afford to pay full-time insurance to some of their employees, like the dope from Papa John's Pizza, or for certain of the larger corporations, I guess now what I've been doing over the last couple of years is blocking it out and saying, no way it's possible. Well, guess what? I guess I was wrong. It really is true that a lot of these companies can't afford these ridiculous premiums, and they're required by the Affordable Health Care Act, to provide insurance to their employees. How can they? It is just absolutely remarkable. And I guess it took me all this time to have a true realization and a wake-up call that this is not good. It really isn't. And I can't believe that there are many people. I'm not going to say who it was, but a very dear friend of mine posted on Facebook today. She has COPD, and she has serious back issues. Okay, so as you can, having COPD is not good right off the bat. Her breathing is very, very difficult. And then having back issues, how do you work when you have back issues, okay? Now, her premium is, in New Jersey, I think $289 a month for the lowest of the low programs. And it will not cover her COPD, it will not cover her back issues, and it will not cover any of the medication that is related to her two diagnosed illnesses. What is the point then of her buying this plan? But she's got to, because if she doesn't, the fine will be too great. So here's a person who absolutely needs medical insurance, who could do very, very well by getting medical insurance. But the fact that she's getting this plan, that it's not going to help her in the two realms where she needs to be helped the most, think about that for a moment. Think about that for a second. And I often wonder, even if I did get one of these plans, would I be in a similar boat as she is? If I were to go and say to a doctor, I have diagnosed years ago and have not been able to treat low testosterone, can you help me? I often wonder, would it pay for the medication? Would it pay for the treatment that I got from the doctors? And the chances are, based on past history and what I've seen from other people, it's not going to pay for it. So just think about that. Just think about that. My greatest ailment right now more than likely wouldn't be covered if I were to get the bottom of the line plan. And again, if I were wealthier, I could go and get the platinum plans. You know, they give them those the incredible, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. I mean, it's insulting. It's almost like creating class warfare too, where if you are of a different economic background, you get the bronze. But if you're a poor schmuck like me, you get the platinum rather. And if you're a poor schmuck like me, enjoy the bronze. And that is just unacceptable and not the America that I know about. It truly isn't. So yeah, I've come to a conclusion after all this time that finally this program isn't going to work. I've come to the conclusion that I'm not going to pay the fine until they come after me. If they want to, fine. I don't have assets. What are they going to come after? Yippee-I-yo, okay? That's what they're going to do. So they're going to start coming after people who are in the middle class and who struggle. Go ahead. Go ahead. Have fun. Have fun. And again, it's the little guy who gets screwed, as usual. The little business owner who gets screwed, as usual. It's always that case in this country. And I would have thought that President Barack Obama would have known better than to do this. But he didn't. He made it way, way too difficult. He's made it way too challenging. He's made it way too cumbersome. He's made it way too frustrating. He really has. 5 times, folks, I did this application, and 5 times at the very end when I went to submit it, it said, sorry, we can't process your application. So at that point in time, I just say, turn around and look, that's enough. What more can I do here? There's no more I can do here. So I'm curious if any of you have had similar incidents when you've done it. If you have, and of course if you have, I would love to hear from you by clicking on the lips. Click on the lips, test your camera, test your audio, and come on the air with me. And maybe what I'll do one day this week or next week is, I'll set up the screen capture and I'll apply on the air, just so you see that I'm not BSing. So I'll get to that point where it's time to submit, so you could see for the 6th time, Bertika, exactly, it's not going to work again. So, but again, any of you out there, if you've had any horror stories, I would love to hear from you. If you know of somebody who has had a horror story involved with this, please let me know, or tell the person to call in. It would be great to hear some others. I know I'm not alone, so I think that in of itself would be very intriguing to hear. And I just hope that nobody else has to go through this, really. It's not something I would wish upon my worst enemy. It really isn't. It's that frustrating. Something that was supposed to be so easy and so convenient and so cheap and affordable is nothing but irritating, annoying, and extremely expensive. It is 22 minutes past the hour. Knessa here with you on KC and 60 on this Wednesday evening. Sure glad you decided to join me here tonight on KC and 60 on DARPATV.com. It's always a pleasure to have you guys around, and it's always nice when the bosses are around. Bertika and JJ Astro are here, and of course, Bertika's dear friend and our dear friend Mawa is here. I've seen Joel and a few others, Maddie, of course, and Annie, and to everybody else, thank you for logging on and joining me. And before I take a quick break, I want to just tell you quickly about Secure Haze, which I'm falling more and more in love with as I use it more and more and have been getting a chance to see some of these great features. Folks, I think we're in an era right now where making a telephone call is not necessarily something people enjoy to do, especially when you can make video calls on the internet for a decent price or for free, and you can see people instead of just hearing them. Well, if you are a person who likes to make calls using the internet, Secure Haze is something I think you should consider using, and here's why. It is safe as heck. It truly is, and there are no safer telecommunication applications out there that are as safe as Secure Haze is, and that's because the owners and the developers have used a 2048-bit encryption, which means that the greatest number of hackers in the world could get together in a room, and not all of them combined with all their brain power would be able to intercept any kind of phone call, or video call, or audio call, or an instant message, or if you were sending files. No way they would be able to intercept you. And in this world, in this day and age, where there's so much snooping on privacy, where privacy is not anything that the government really cares for anymore for people, you want to try this. Do me this favor. Click on one of the banners. It should be up there right now. Go to or if not, go to www.securehaze.com. When you get to the website, download the app, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, or you could also download for your phones if you're using Android or iPhone, and give it a shot. If you like what you see, you let me know, and we're going to fund you with 1 free month of total security, because don't forget, for these types of communications to be secure, they have to be between 2 people who have security on their account. So you let me know, I'll send you a month's security so you can give it a try. It's better than any other telecommunication app out there, and best of all, it is completely secure. Never will you have to worry about anything you say or do being seen by people who have no right or any business seeing it. So check it out today, www.securehaze.com now. So it's 25 past the hour, and instead of, when I'm going to take these breaks, I'm going to show you a couple of funny videos that I found over the last couple of days in lieu of showing some commercials. This first one is a man who most of you know. His name is Brian Williams. He does the NBC Nightly News, and they auto-tuned him into a rap, and it's pretty darn funny. So without any further ado, here's Brian Williams doing some rap with Lester Holt from NBC News.
I set up hip hop, the hipping to the hip hop. You don't stop the rocket to the bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie, the beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to groove your feet. See, I am Wonder Mike, and I'd like to say hello to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, the purple, and yellow. But first, I gotta bang, the boogie to the boogie, say up, jump, the boogie to the bang, boogie. Let's rock, you don't stop, rock the rhythm that will make your body rock. Well, so far, you've heard my voice, but I brought 2 friends along. And next on the mic is my man Hank. Come on, Hank, sing that song.
Check it out. And the C-A-S-N-D-O-B. And the rest is F-L-Y. You see, I go by the code of the doctor of the mix, and these reasons I'll tell you why. You see, I'm 6'1", and it turns up on, and I dress to a T. You see, I got more clothes than Muhammad Ali, and I dress so viciously. Everybody go, hotel, motel. What are you gonna do today?
Say what?
Because I'm a headline girl, gonna get some spank and drive off, and the death OJ. Everybody go, hotel, motel, holiday in. Say if your girl starts acting up, then you take her friend.
As somebody who likes to put videos together, do you realize how hard that was? Oh my goodness, that had to take days to put together. When you have to cut down to nanoseconds, really, that, each of those little clips weren't even a full second long. That, it's pretty funny, Bertika and I are always on the same brain levels, because that's the first thought I had, how long it must have taken to do that. But that was one of the best auto-tune I've ever seen. It was just magnificent. And whenever it's somebody who's a little bit on the stiff side, that always makes it the better, because indeed Brian Williams is not exactly known for his gregarious personality. Now, here's this. It's time for the mundane news made dramatic, just like in the UK. You're watching America This Morning, 4 a.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Wait till you see what this little runt of a child does when her iPad is taken away. As you can see, the little girl is crying hysterically. She's in a distraught mode and even takes her pacifier out of her mouth to shout at her mum and her dad. She pleads with Mum and Dad to return the iPad, but Mum and Dad refuse. The big question, of course, is why a 2-year-old and why an iPad? Nigel Robinson reporting, BBC News in the United States for ABC America This Morning. That was actually a story that appeared on CNN, or ABC rather. This little girl, this video went viral because they took her iPad away from her, and she absolutely freaked out. And absolutely true, Bertiga. Nigel Robinson is becoming almost like Hank Jones. Sometimes when you bring a character to life, they become somebody who you just want to have around, just like Hank used to be years ago. You got to bring Hank back. He was on Joel's show last week, but he was just terrible. Hank, I think, must have had way too many martinis when he was doing that. Now, here's another one that I found today. This is an interview between Linda Cohn of ESPN and Ken Griffey Jr. Now, here's the thing. Don't like either one of them, especially Cohn, but wait till you see the way Ken Griffey Jr. treats her. This is just bizarre. The way he's just treating her with these one-word answers. He talk about not wanting to be there. But seriously, it's like you got hit in the head with a ball. Very, very strange from today on ESPN. Now, the last of the strange videos comes from Jimmy Kimmel Live, and his guest on the program that I'm going to be showing you was the mayor of Toronto, Ontario. Apparently, after this was all said and done, the mayor of Toronto was livid, and he was telling people that he can't believe that he was treated this way. But yeah, Tom, I'm the same way with Linda Cohn. She's a big Ranger fan, can't stand her. But anyway, here's Rob Ford, part 1 of 2, on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show from the other day, and boy, is this intriguing, to say the least. So there's a little look at Rob Ford's appearance with Jimmy Kimmel. He's sort of like Marion Barry meets Chris Christie, where you got this really jovial guy who likes drugs. And every indication that I've heard is that the guy is just a fantastic mayor. And that stat that he gave about in his tenure, taxes only going up 1.5% over that entire time, I think 6 years, whatever it is phenomenal. It's true. It's phenomenal. I mean, a big city like that with that many, several million residents, to be able to hold the line and keep it at that is fantastic. So the people of Toronto are torn, because here on one end you've got a mayor who's getting himself into a lot of hot water, but who also does a fantastic job. And I've always believed that what a politician does in his or her own time is not fair game. And it shouldn't matter whether you're judging what a person does, as long as they get it done politically and for the people. And that's sort of what Rob Ford has done. He's gotten it done. And unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen. He's up for re-election. The election is in October of this year, and it should be very intriguing to see whether he wins another term. I know he's running. Exactly. The holding the baby stuff, it's just a joke. Like, who cares about that stuff, the kissing the babies and handing out? You saw when he was handing out the candy cans, he's like, I want no part of this. Here, just take them. Get out of my face now. I got other shit to do. So that's why I like the guy. I really do. But let's see what happens. Will he get reelected? I certainly hope so. But I also hope he gets his act together, too, because just as soon as he says that he's gone a long time without drinking, he gets caught on video totally drunk in public. So who knows what will happen. But I got a feeling the people of Toronto are smart enough and will do the right thing and reelect him. 47 past the hour. Now, how about this? You've seen on the news stations, sometimes they'll break into coverage and they'll have a helicopter flying over, usually a freeway in California, and they'll show 4 or 5 police cars tailing a car that was involved in some sort of crime, and they're going through the streets, and then they go into the private roads, and then they go weaving in and out of lanes, go the wrong direction. You've seen this before, of course. Well, here's a case where somebody was involved in one of those big high-speed chases with the police department, and lo and behold, don't you know, this guy who was involved in this chase dies. Now, most of the time, when you have these crazy high-speed chases, you don't lose anybody. But this time, the guy died. Now comes word that his family is considering suing the police department for wrongful death, even though their relative was involved in a chase where he broke the law first to start this chase. So take a look at this story, and I want to talk about it on the other side. It's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned, but decide for yourself.
This 2004 police dashcam video shows what at first seems to be a routine traffic stop for a busted headlight, until it starts a 10-minute high-speed chase. Driver Donald Rickard and his passenger Kelly Allen leading police from Arkansas into Tennessee before cornering their white Honda, but briefly. As the Honda backs up, almost hitting one of the officers, they fire 15 shots into the car as it speeds away. A short time later, the car crashes into a house. Rickard and Allen both died. Rickard's family sues the officers for using excessive force, and now the case is reaching the U.S. Supreme Court.
The usual rule is you're not allowed to sue the police if they make a mistake. But it's also a rule that if they do something really outrageous, then you can sue. And the question in this case is, how outrageous was the police behavior?
The officers claim they have immunity when safeguarding the public in fast-moving, dangerous situations, even if they make mistakes. But lower courts denied them immunity, saying their actions were unreasonable.
The question that has to be balanced is whether or not the public risk outweighs the public benefit. And those things are context specific. They emerge in moments in time, and that's what we pay police officers to do, to make those difficult decisions on our behalf as civilians, so we can go about our daily lives. The tape itself is never conclusive because it's only one small part of an overall set of circumstances that take place in a very, very short period of time. I can tell you that from what I've seen, it absolutely looks like it's consistent with policy.
So I guess the decision has to be made: is 15 shots too many shots to fire on a fleeing criminal? To me, I look at that case and I think to myself, how is it possible that this is in the United States Supreme Court? How is it possible that that case ever made it to court, that these family members were allowed to sue this police department at all? I don't get it. The guy was breaking the law, and he trying to get away. And when that happens, that's what happens. The police have to fire shots to try to stop them. Now, I guess there could also be an argument that there wasn't real imminent danger for the police officers right there, but who knows? A car's a pretty big weapon. It really is. I mean, a car's a very big weapon. And whether or not they had guns or knives or anything in the car, I don't think really matters when you just take into consideration that in and of itself, a big piece of metal like that can travel could do some serious damage. And it did. I mean, it crashed into a house, killed them both. What if they had killed two people along the way, too? Would we still be having this conversation? I bet we would, even if they took out two others instead of just themselves. And so the Supreme Court has to make a decision now. Is that excessive? Was that excessive? I don't think so. Pratika says it in the chat room pretty succinctly. When a criminal decides to run, he or she takes the risk. That's fine. That's right. You take the risk that something could happen, and you also have to take the risk that the police might fire at you. And unfortunately, this is one of those cases that I don't think should have ever made it to court, period, let alone to the United States Supreme Court. And I certainly hope that in this one, when they do eventually rule, that they say that the police were justified and that the suit is frivolous. You mean to tell me that the family of this guy who committed a crime, took police on a long pursuit over state lines, that family deserves damages because he committed a crime and then decided he wasn't going to surrender? Just think about how ludicrous that is, folks. It's just nuts. And it's just reality. It is the absolute reality. This guy, his family could wind up with a substantial reward for him breaking the law. That's the bottom line. And with any luck, the Supreme Court will get on this and say, no way. No way. How much? I'm not sure how much the original settlement was for. I will find out, though, because that's a good point. How much is this costing anyway? I mean, that's the other thing. This is probably costing a substantial amount of money if they are awarded the damages, first of all, and then to have to appeal all the way to the United States Supreme Court. That is not cheap. We're talking millions of bucks here. Millions of bucks. So between that and the settlement, or not the settlement, but the judgment itself, you could be looking at really, really millions and millions of bucks. And I'm going to do some research and find out. And keep my eye on this to see what happens, what the ultimate decision is by the Supreme Court. But with any luck, I have to throw this case out and say that the police were justified. It is 56 past the hour. Canessa here with you on KC and 60 on this Wednesday evening, coming to you live from the King George's Estates in Port St. Lucie, Florida. That is going to do it for this edition of KC and 60. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And coming up tomorrow, I'll be back at 7. We got a busy day ahead of us tomorrow. There are a couple of shows that you'll be able to see here on the DCAST side. At 8 o'clock, the great Mawa will be doing her show, Live Feed USA, where it's always something intriguing, like the call that Pratika gave to Mawa last week. That was very, very enjoyable. And, of course, at 8 o'clock tomorrow night also, Joel the Mouth returns with the Fan Forum, real sports talk for real sports fans. I'm sure Joel will have plenty to discuss with the baseball season kicking off and, of course, with the NHL trade deadline. Of course, I'm a very happy man that Martin Brodeur was not traded today to another team. I wouldn't have been able to tolerate that, but there were some very intriguing trades, of course, in the league. And, of course, coming up on Friday at 8 p.m., a new showcast, a new DCast will be on its way, and it's CC's Crease, and that is a show that Caitlin Campbell will be doing live from just outside of Toronto, Ontario, where she'll spend an hour discussing the NHL. She's a big Buffalo Sabres fan and a Sabres writer through the Sports Illustrated network at sabernoise.com, and she's going to do an NHL show at 8 o'clock Friday evening from her place up in Ontario, and I think that will be really one you want to see. She is, this is our first female sports show, I think, right? Yeah. I don't know if we had a female do a sports show ever before here on DARPA TV before that. It's always been men who have done the sports show, yeah, so this will be a first. Caitlin's 20. She's very, very well-spoken, very smart, knowledgeable hockey girl. She knows a lot. She used to play the sport, so that will be a first on DARPA TV on Friday. Good point, Bertika. I forgot about that, so I hope you'll tune in for that at 8 o'clock. And, of course, coming up in just a few minutes, it's Chop Shop TV, live from Queens, New York. Check it out. Hopefully you'll be able to hear them. The microphones are working. If not, I'm sure there'll be plenty of videos to watch and things of that nature as well. And Tom just says, Sam Rosen is wetting his pants over Marty St. Louis. Already makes you want to vomit, I bet. Sorry about that, Pratika. I couldn't resist. But, the microphone, you can hear me, right? Pretty easy. From Port St. Lucie, Florida, Canessa signing off for now, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night, everybody, and be safe.